The Labour leader was in Brussels this morning with the EU's chief Brexit negotiator Michel Barnier, Secretary-General of the European Commission Martin Selmayr, and Prime Ministers from 7 member states, including Spain's Pedro Sanchez. Following the talks, Jeremy Corbyn told reporters he believes that plan that are proposing can construct a majority in Parliament after the Prime Minister's withdrawal agreement twice failed to do so. He said, "Our determination is to find an agreement that means we can prevent a no-deal exit and have a future, constructive relationship with the European Union that could be negotiated during an extension period. What we are proposing can be achieved in the British Parliament. We believe we can construct a majority that will prevent all the chaos that will come from crashing out of the EUJeremy Corbyn. What we are proposing can be achieved in the British Parliament. We believe we can construct a majority that will prevent all the chaos that will come from crashing out of the EU. There is a great concentration of minds in the British Parliament because of the danger of crashing out without a deal and the problems caused for jobs, transport and supply." Last night, Mr. Corbyn was consigned to a late-night call with Theresa May after storming out of a crunch cross-party meeting in Furiat. Independent Group MP Chuka Umuna's attendance after he quit Labour last month. He said, "I made clear to the Prime Minister that we must immediately agree to a compromise alternative that supports jobs and living standards, can win the support of Parliament, be negotiated with the EU and bring the country together." EU summit live May arrives for make-or-break talks as she refuses to rule out no-deal. Jeremy Corbyn met EU figureheads before to put forward an alternative plan. Image Getty. Prior to this morning's meeting in Brussels, Labour said Mr. Corbyn would express confidence that an alternative to Theresa May's botched deal can be agreed in Parliament. Speaking ahead of the talks in the Belgian capital, the Labour leader said, "Theresa May's botched deal has been overwhelmingly rejected twice by Parliament. It should not be brought back for a third time. If asking, her government is in chaos, and she is arrogantly trying to bully Parliament to vote for the same bad deal." After serious talks with senior MPs from across Parliament, "I believe it should be possible to agree a deal with the EU that secures a close economic relationship before the European Parliament elections. I look forward to discussing this with European leaders today." He added, "It's time for MPs to work together, find a consensus that can get through Parliament, be negotiated with the EU in time and bring Leave and Remain voters together." Jeremy Corbyn said Labour can build a majority in Parliament with the deal being proposed to the EU. Image AFP. Getty. "We believe that consensus can be based on our alternative plan, which would provide protection for manufacturing and jobs, guarantee our rights and end the chaos and uncertainty that the government is inflicting on our country." After Mr. Corbyn walked out of the cross-party meeting last night, Mr. Umuna, the independent group's spokesman, told Sky News, "I think we are in a crisis situation here where the people of this country expect representatives from different political groups in Parliament to come together and try to charter a way forward. That is why the Prime Minister convened the meeting. I welcome the fact that she did so. I think it is really extraordinary behavior for the leader of the opposition to behave in this kind of very juvenile way when the moment demands we all step up and engage in some serious dialogue to find a way through this chaos and mess. But he will have to explain his actions." But when questioned on his reasons for leaving last night's meeting, Mr. Corbyn simply said there was confusion. Theresa May faces a crucial 3 months with her Brexit deal. Image Express. He added he had a frank discussion with Mrs. May last night and will again do so next week on a one-on-one basis, emphasizing he has also met the leaders of all opposition parties. The Labour leader said, "There was a confusion over that meeting. I had a frank discussion with the Prime Minister and arranged to meet her next week on a one-to-one basis. I've met with leaders with all the other parties in my office. We have done a great deal to listen carefully and construct a majority that can bring a resolution out of this crisis." Mrs. May is attending the European Council summit in Brussels, where she will make a desperate appeal to EU leaders to grant her a delay to Brexit until June 30 in a last-ditch attempt to get her withdrawal deal through Parliament. Donald Tusk offered a glimmer of hope when he said a short delay could be possible. Image Getty. Ahead of the meeting, European Council President Donald Tusk offered a glimmer of hope when he said a short delay could be possible. But he warned this would only be granted if MPs finally back her deal in the Commons before the proposed Brexit day of March 29. The continued Brexit impasse is sending shockwaves throughout Europe, with Mr. Tusk saying he would not hesitate to call an emergency summit next week if that is what is needed to make further progress. But European Commission President Jean-Claude Juncker warned Britain would have to leave the bloc by May 23 if it did not want to participate in the European Parliament elections, which start on that date, something Mrs. May has continued to insist she will avoid at all costs. Ministers have already overwhelmingly rejected the Prime Minister's deal, first by a huge 322 votes in January and then by a 149-vote majority earlier this month.